How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Have you ever wondered what would happen if the most bitter person in the world decided to destroy everything that matters to you? Get ready to understand how a hated person can end up finding redemption where you least expect it. High in the icy mountains of Whoville, far from the parties, the songs, and the bonds that unite hearts, lives someone whose solitude has turned to scorn. The Grinch, a green creature with small, distrustful eyes, has become, for everyone, the perfect portrait of what we reject. But who is the Grinch really? A monster, a villain, or a being shaped by the pain of exile? Behind the sarcasm and cruelty lies the shadow that Jung described, that part of ourselves that we avoid looking at, but which grows when it goes unacknowledged. Who hasn't felt, even if only for a moment, that desire to escape the lights, the sounds, the joy coming from outside and create an inner refuge made only of our own ruins? Philosophy reminds us that we are defined both by what we accept and by everything we reject. Hell is other people, says Sartre, but so is the mirror. The Grinch, isolated and rebellious, is the epitome of someone who has turned their wounds into armor. Every Christmas he sees from afar reminds him of past celebrations, of the laughter from which he was excluded. And here comes the small biblical touch, not as dogma, but as a metaphor. It is not man who seeks sin, but the pain that hides within his choices. What if that very night the Grinch's plans changed not only the fate of the Who's, but also his own? In this story, we will delve into the journey of this anti-hero, deciphering the weight of the shadow, the hidden meaning of his actions, and the tiny sparks of redemption that can be born even in the hardest hearts. The Christmas revealed here is about more than just presents. It's about acceptance, hope, and the challenge of transforming the darkest things into the light that can be born. Exile and shadow. At the top of the coldest mountain in Whoville, where the wind howls and the fog envelops the world like an indifferent blanket, the Grinch watches, not just to see, but to ensure that the distance between him and the village of the Who's remains absolute, like an invisible and impenetrable wall. The Grinch's house is a kind of fortress carved into the rock, both shelter and prison, a refuge for those who fear the brightness and warmth of others. There the silence is profound, broken from time to time only by the distant echo of laughter coming from the village. The Grinch feels more than hears this laughter. For him, they are sharp arrows that remind him every Christmas how far away he is. Have you ever felt like the whole world is celebrating a party you weren't invited to? It was in this silence that the Grinch learned to dialogue with his own shadow. Jung argued that every human being carries within them denied aspects of themselves, emotions, instincts, memories, everything that society, or the mind itself, decides to push into the basement of consciousness. The Grinch not only knows his shadow, he wears it like armor. In his childhood, there were rumors that the Grinch had been in the village, even if only briefly, episodes that everyone prefers to forget. He was different. He knew that. Her small eyes and green complexion stood out so much that she quickly became the target of laughter and whispers. And whoever has never been the target of mockery carries with them an invisible mark, that of exclusion. Philosophy warns us that identity is constructed through contrast and acceptance. The Grinch, rejected, cultivates resentment as his only companion. Nietzsche spoke of resentment as a creative and destructive energy. Those who are excluded fantasize about despising everything they lack. The Grinch spends hours observing Whoville from a distance, mentally sketching the streets, the face of each Who, their routines, and especially their festive excesses. Every light turned on is an insult to its gloom. But, paradoxically, the more you ignore Whoville, the more other people's Christmas invades your mind like a song you refuse to finish. What hurts more? Never having belonged or knowing that others don't even notice your absence. His only companion is Max, the dog. Max understands him without words. He too knows what it's like to live in the shadow of fear and rejection. The relationship between Grinch and Max isn't affectionate, but it's a silent pact for survival. Max represents the part of the Grinch that still longs for connection with others, even if he never admits it. On December nights, The village fills with songs and lights. The Grinch's cave remains empty, sorrowful. Pain turns to contempt. They laugh because they have never felt the pain of difference, thinks the Grinch. But it is precisely this difference that makes it a perfect symbol of the Jungian shadow. That which we exclude returns with greater force, seeking balance. In every Whoville there's a bit of the Grinch, that inner voice that whispers we're not good, beautiful, and worthy enough. What makes the Grinch a monster isn't his appearance, but his refusal of the light, the possibility of integrating and accepting his own shadow. For him, the days leading up to Christmas are a direct provocation, synonymous with a happiness he has never experienced, but which he observes meticulously. The Grinch doesn't hate Christmas out of banality. You hate it because every symbol, tree, present, song, reminds you of what you've lost. It's no coincidence that, as in biblical parables, it's the outsider who first challenges the established order. But here, just a touch of poetry without moralizing. How many of us hide behind cynicism just to avoid feeling the pain of not belonging? Existential philosophy blends with the narrative. Sartre tells us that we are thrown into the world, and the world labels us, judges us, molds us. The Grinch didn't choose to be seen as a threat, but once labeled, he decided to embrace the caricature. If everyone expects the monster to appear, why disappoint them? However, something throbs within him. A restlessness, a desire that perhaps someone would look beyond the hostile exterior and see the wounded child, trapped beneath layers of irony and anger. As the hours tick by, Whoville is in its Christmas frenzy, and the Grinch prepares his dark plan. This year he will decide the fate of Christmas, not out of pure malice, but from the desperate cry of someone who yearns, even unconsciously, to be noticed. When the excluded decide to act, the world may never be the same again. How far does the shadow go before it finds its own light? The attack, the scream of the unconscious night falls over Whoville like a translucent veil of hope. The windows gleam, the Whos sing, unaware that high on the mountain someone is about to challenge every certainty and ritual built by the community. The Grinch, wrapped in his makeshift cape and with watchful eyes, prepares his plan with obsessive precision. More than a robbery, the act will be a manifesto against everything that has excluded him, a challenge to the rules that never welcomed him. Would you be capable of erasing the smiles of an entire people just to feel your own power? The Grinch's house, now the starting point for his transformation, becomes a workshop of tricks, sacks, ropes, tools. The environment reveals an ingenuity driven not only by anger, but by a deep need to be felt. It is here that the shadow ceases to be passive and becomes action. Jungian psychology suggests that, when ignored, the shadow finds ways to manifest itself. Sabotage, envy, destruction. For the Grinch, stealing Christmas is a leap between the desire to belong and a cry of pain, almost like Cain, who, faced with God's indifferent gaze, decides to cross the line but without religious guilt, only the echo that cries out for recognition. Max, his companion, is following the plan. He looks on with sadness, a hint of ambivalence. Is it right or wrong? For a wounded mind, ethics become distorted. The Grinch doesn't think about suffering, only about his own emptiness. Existential philosophy speaks to this. Man is condemned to be free, wrote Sartre. Every choice, including destroying someone else's Christmas, is also a search for meaning. How far would you go to be noticed by a world that ignores you? The plan takes shape. Go down to the village, collect every symbol of joy, trees, gifts, decorations, food, and extinguish the light in the Whos' hearts. The Grinch imagines the following morning. Bewildered faces, tears, silent voices. Would his revenge be complete or not? Because from the inside, every step of the robbery echoes the Grinch's own anguish. It's not just other people's Christmas he's destroying. It's his own desire to be a part of what he could never call his own. The shadow, once silent, now screams. Jung suggests that projection transforms the world into an enemy. That which we lack, we reconfigure as a threat. The Grinch sees in the Who's what he most desires and fears: acceptance without judgment. All destruction carries the secret desire to rebuild. What is the Grinch really looking for? At the dead of night, he silently roams the houses, guided not by pure malice but by the need to feel powerful, to be more than the monster in the basement. Lights go out, colors fade. Whoville will awaken in emptiness. The Grinch, exhausted and tense, carries his loot to the top of the mountain. Max follows, uneasy. There's an air of doubt. Is this the end, or just the beginning of a greater journey? The cold grows, not only around, but within the Grinch's heart. The philosophical mind finds a paradox here. In trying to destroy Christmas, the Grinch destroys the last bridge between himself and others. The biblical narrative subtly reappears. Some people, upon losing everything, are forced to rethink what truly has value. But for now, emptiness reigns. When we extinguish the light of others, will it be possible for us to be illuminated? Or will we sink even further into our own abyss? The encounter with the light, Cindy Lou and the turning point. The sky over Whoville begins to brighten with a soft palette of pinks and golds. While everyone is still asleep, oblivious to the absence of Christmas, the Grinch is high on the mountain, his heart pounding not with joy but with anguish and doubt. Around him, piles of presents, gleaming and useless, compose a landscape of irony. All that was stolen now weighs like an impossible burden to bear. Max, restless, sniffs the air. The silence is different. It's no longer just emptiness, but the pause before a new beginning. The Grinch for a moment feels a pang of uncertainty. His shadow, once so comfortable, begins to weigh him down. He has everything he thought he wanted. Why does he feel now that he has lost even more? What if, after achieving everything you thought you wanted, you only felt an even greater emptiness? Where is the mistake? In the world or in you? As he gazes into the chasm that separates his cave from Whoville, something surprising happens. A delicate voice cuts through the silence, the voice of Cindy Lou. Small, curious, and mysteriously calm. She neither accuses nor fears him. Looking at the Grinch with sincere eyes, Cindy Lou asks without judgment why anyone would feel the need to take Christmas. It's a moment of true disarming, where the child represents the absolute opposite of distrust and exclusion. This scene, as simple as it is powerful, functions as a mirror. Kierkegaard's philosophy suggests that in innocence and true listening, the possibility of choosing again is born, of acting, not according to automatic shadows, but a new desire to be touched, seen, understood. Cindy Lou, unknowingly, offers mercy. This is the subtle biblical touch, the grace that falls upon those who least expect it, but not as miraculous salvation, but rather as the first glimmer of light in the depths of the Grinch's hardened psyche. Meeting Cindy Lou is like meeting your own wounded inner child, the one who just wanted to be accepted, loved, seen. Being seen without masks. Can that really transform even the coldest heart? The dialogue between Grinch and Cindy Lou is brief, but it leaves a deep mark. She speaks of the importance of Christmas not for the presents or decorations, but for the warmth of one another, for the hope of being together. Her words resonate with unexpected force in Grinch's heart. For the first time, perhaps, he doubts his own belief that the world is made only of exclusion. Jung would say that this is the beginning of individuation, the process in which we cease to be merely a shadow or persona, recognizing all parts of ourselves, including those that hurt, that we reject, and that we fear. The Grinch, touched by Cindy Lou, feels his old armor begin to crack. Furthermore, according to existentialist philosophy, it is at this moment that the Grinch realizes he possesses freedom, not only to reject, but to embrace the new, even if the new is merely a simple gesture of childlike compassion. What seemed impossible, the reintegration of the excluded, slowly begins to take shape. Max notices the change. The surroundings seem different, less oppressive, almost as if the wind whispers of hope. The Grinch hesitates, but doubt has already planted its seed. When doubt invades the heart of the anti-hero, what can happen? Change or relapse? In Whoville, the absence of Christmas is felt, but not as a tragedy. The Whos, led by their resilience, begin to gather, to sing, to celebrate nonetheless. The singing rises up the mountain, and to the Grinch's astonishment, the sound is not one of pain or despair, but of unity, faith, and hope. The Grinch realizes, perhaps he never understood the true meaning of Christmas. Maybe it's not the objects, but the bonds. This is a crucial point, philosophically and psychologically. Transformation is not mandatory, but the possibility is open. What if the real miracle was discovering that even after our biggest mistakes, there is still room for forgiveness and a new beginning? The Grinch remains motionless, his heart torn between old resentment and the novelty of an emotion that, until then, seemed impossible to him: hope. The decision to return Christmas and transform himself, or to remain a prisoner of his own shadow, will now be inevitable. Reintegration, the return of the shadow hero. The cold wind blows less aggressively on the summit where the Grinch rests, surrounded by the spoils of a stolen Christmas. Nothing has changed in Whoville, except everything. The Whos sing, they celebrate. Together, even without presents, trees, or banquets. The Grinch, accustomed to expecting chaos, witnesses a silent miracle, the joy that survives material emptiness. The Grinch's heart, until then petrified, begins to beat strangely. He feels something tighten in his chest: pain, guilt, but also an unprecedented desire to make amends, to go back. It's not just remorse. It's the harbinger of a new possibility for himself, a crack through which the light wants to enter. What if the true gift was the power to ask for forgiveness? Would you have the courage to give back to the world what you stole? At this point, philosophy blends with psychology. Nietzsche spoke of eternal return, of the chance to reconstruct past choices. Jung saw in the hero's great journey the reunion with oneself, only possible after confronting the inner monster. For the Grinch, this is his greatest battle, not against Whoville, but with his own shadow. Looking at the happy faces of the Whos, you feel small, vulnerable, human. He is confronted not by hatred, but by the unconditional love that still pulsates in the village. The shadow, which once served as protection, proves useless in the face of compassion. The Grinch for a few seconds hesitates, but the inner tide is irresistible. Max, always by his side, barks vigorously as if to say, now or never. In a sudden burst of impulse, the Grinch runs down the mountain, dragging his sled and presents, forcing himself to face the gaze of an entire community. The journey is arduous, not because of the material burden, but because of having to surrender one's own pride to the possibility of collective forgiveness. Have you ever given to another what was your selfishness? Have you ever felt the liberation that only genuine forgiveness provides? Upon arriving, silence falls. Everyone stares. There are no boos, no chasing, just a moment of vulnerable expectation where time seems to stand still. Courageous Cindy Lou approaches. His eyes invite without demanding, offer without judging. The Grinch bows, offering back every stolen symbol, but above all, he offers the vulnerability of confession. I was wrong. Little by little, the Whos accept the gift not for its material value, but for the courage of the gesture. Hearts open, smiles appear, and someone invites you to participate. The forgiveness of the Whos is presented not as forgetting, but as a choice for a new future. Here again is the biblical touch, light as a scent in the air. Forgive 70 times 7. The Grinch feels a delicate rupture within himself. The old self is dissolving, giving way to the possibility of belonging. Reintegrated, he realizes that his journey is not one of grand redemption, but of silent learning, accepting that everyone, including himself, is made of light and shadow. Ultimately, what we desire most is to be accepted, even with our flaws. What part of you also longs for permission to return? The day continues, filled with joy, renewed smiles, and strengthened bonds. The Grinch, now integrated, experiences for the first time the feeling of belonging, not as an imposter, not as a threat, but simply as one of us. Christmas, then, reveals its philosophical secret. It does not celebrate perfection, but the gathering of imperfect people who dare to seek reconciliation. The village sings, all together. Cindy Lou and Max flank the Grinch, sealing a new cycle of belonging. He discovers the hard way that the greatest gift of Christmas is not the presents, but the courage to transform oneself by exposing oneself to the compassionate gaze of another. Perhaps the light we seek outside only truly shines when we dare to illuminate our own shadow. Are you ready for your reintegration? Light, shadow, and the true meaning of Christmas. The day ends in Whoville with a soft golden light bathed in the valley and hills. The Grinch, now integrated into the celebration, experiences a rare feeling, a sense of belonging, tranquility, and for the first time, true peace. The Who's sing, dance, and hug each other. Max runs among the children. Cindy Lou smiles with the kind of joy that only exists when the heart has decided to forgive. At this time of year, the village no longer needs the presents, the lavish feast, or the exuberant decorations. All of that is merely a backdrop to the true spirit of Christmas. The Grinch realizes what he always wanted wasn't Christmas itself, but the gaze of others. Recognition, acceptance, the right to exist without a mask. Philosophy teaches us that every journey of transformation occurs when we dare to look inward, acknowledge our shadows, and confront them. Jung would say that the greatest gift of the hero is to accept and integrate all their parts, not only the light, but also the darkness. The Grinch becomes a symbol of this integration, from monster to community member, from outcast to welcomed. Whoville's Christmas doesn't celebrate perfection, but the courage to start over. And if there's no greater gift than belonging, there is indeed a responsibility to give to others what you would have liked to receive. The Grinch, sitting next to Cindy Lou, gazes at the sky. In profound silence, he gives thanks, not for the things recovered, but for the chance to write another story, to be seen beyond his own wounds, to belong without having to hide who he is. Every Christmas, everywhere in the world, there's someone waiting for a second chance. Who will be the Grinch in your life that you can help reintegrate? And so, Christmas ended, not with presents or parties, but with a community reunited, where even the most marginalized found space to smile. The script of this story closes but leaves doors open within us who read and ask, what is our shadow? What part of ourselves needs to be accepted? What reconciliation can happen if we let go of our pride and allow the light to enter? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who's already feeling a little Grinch this Christmas. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling us which part of your journey resonates most with the Grinch. Enjoy the video and don't forget, there's always room to start over and to bring Christmas into your own life.